with Blackhawk Engagement Solutions, and I want to welcome you to the Happiness Study Report. We're going to get started here in just a few seconds. Okay, so
thank you for joining us for the webcast, The Happiness Study, where employee happiness comes from and doesn't, presented by Rodney Mason and sponsored by Blackhawk Engagement Solutions. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that this webcast has been pre-approved for IHR certification credits, 1 HRCI webcast for certification credit, and 1 HRCI e-learning credit. Please be sure to attend the complete webcast to receive your credits. You will receive an email from HR.com within 1 to 2 business days, which will include the certification credit information. Questions may be submitted anytime during the webcast by typing the question in the Ask a Question text field and clicking Submit, the orange button located on your screen. And I will now turn it over to Rodney.
All right, thank you so much. We're excited at the tremendous response that we have received from all the members of HR.com, and we're really happy to share our study today. This is a study that we fielded very recently, and it has some insights that are, we feel, revolutionary for the industry. So we're going to share high-level insights today, and I will get into those, but also know that we've got all of the data, and what we're doing for our clients is slicing that data. So we're able to look at vertical-specific age, gender, and other key demographics, even down to type of job level, and job responsibilities. So today we're going to give the overview, and we'll start forwarding here in just a minute. Let's see here. Oops. So before we begin, I'll just give you a very high level of Blackhawk Engagement Solutions. We are a global leader in rewards and incentives. Employee is a giant space for us. Some of you may have seen the news today. We just acquired, we are planning to acquire Achievers, and that was announced early this morning. But we are part of the Blackhawk Network, publicly traded on NASDAQ, a global leader in rewards and incentives, especially focused on employee, consumer, and also sales channels. We work with many of the Fortune 100 and 500 and clients around the world. Let's see here. What we bring to our clients is the smartest of value in employee rewards. We've got world-class research and strategies that are designed to create custom solutions for our customers. And we do that without the giant consulting fees. We really do that by delivering the rewards and the platforms that our clients need. So enough with the little info about us. You know, the big question everybody always asks is, what is the power of employee engagement and why are we doing this? And these are some examples that we achieve for our clients and also have been pulled from the industry. But when you leverage the power of employee engagement, when you truly engage your employees, you understand what they want, and you can drive them to the things that they want and make them feel rewarded, you can increase, obviously, work productivity, you can decrease healthcare costs, you can boost referrals, you can have fewer accidents on the job, and you can improve retention. There are a lot of other things that you can do, but these are the things that our clients come to us every day. These are some of their biggest challenges. And the great thing that we've been able to prove out, and as our research will show, is if you have a high-level strategy to your program and you really stand behind it, it's not a one-off that you just plug in to solve a problem, but you really go in focused, you have research and understand your customers, and you build the right program, you can save your company a lot of money. And at the end of the day, everybody on the phone, all of you, when you have to go ask for money for these programs, you have to answer to that. And that's something that we pride ourselves in, as do other folks in the space, making sure that we measure results in our programs. And that's why we do this research. So for this methodology, just really quickly from this study, we spoke to 1,851 adults across the country, and our study is really reflective of the population by age, ethnicity, education, income, gender, compensation, also reflective geographically across the United States. and also by job titles. So we really went to a very large audience, and we were able to filter to get an exact replication of the US. I'd be happy to share more insights on that with you later, but I'm going to jump into the study. So the first big question we ask with happiness, we've seen that there are people out there that have talked about happiness, some scientists at Harvard and University of Michigan and other schools. So it's starting to bubble up. And really, if you look at the millennial generation, they've raised the question for everybody, what makes us happy? Why are we here? That's always the big question. And in the job space, in the old days, people had a job for a very long time. Today, that's not the case. And in the old days, your job identified who you were. That's not the case either. Now here we have the happiness ranking, what makes people happy and what ranks low. And we put a lot of factors in their life. We kind of took the 12 primary factors in their lives to say, where does work fall there? Because in the old days, work was way up at the top. But as you can see, work is down toward the bottom, sort of falls in the middle. What's really important to people today, number one, is family. Number two is friends, and number three is health. What's interesting about this chart is when we slice it by category, let's say we're looking at technology or telco, where the demos change, income changes, gender changes or skews differently, everything gets jiggered around a little bit. Things move around. But when you look at the top line, family, friends, and health are all up there always. And that's really where people are focused. Hobbies come and go, depending on how you slice the data, but hobbies number 4 overall. Community number 5. Food and drink number 6. That's your basic necessities, I guess. Your home, actually your dwelling, your neighborhood, where you live, that's a little bit more personal than community. Then your job, and right below job is pets. And I've been out sharing this data, giving some previews to some of our clients, and the pet owners have been really disturbed by this. They said, how could my pet be ranked below my job? And I say, well, some people would think you're crazy because half of the population don't have pets, and that explains it. So pet lovers are crazy about their pets, and if you just look at pet owners, pets would rank really high. But when you look at non-pet owners, they rank below the job. Then you have music, and look here all the way at the bottom. You have vacation and sports teams. And what's really interesting to us about this is the industry, the entire employment incentive industry, which has been measured somewhere between $20 and $50 billion spent on employee incentives and bonuses. What you see a lot in sales contests, employee rewards, day-to-day office type rewards, you see a lot of, oh, we're going to give away a trip or a vacation, or we've got sports tickets for you. Guess what? That doesn't mean a lot to people. In fact, it means very little, and we'll even show you price elasticity on that. Even more importantly, when you look here at the happiness rankings and you look at family and friends at the top, as you start thinking about rewarding your employees, you need to take into account those things because that's what's important to them. It's not about watches and catalog and merchandise and shopping sprees. It's really what they care about, as you'll see as this report shows, is family, friends, and health. So in the happiness rankings, only 17% ranked their job as one of their top 3 factors that was important to them. And we've talked a little bit about that, but obviously attitudes are shifting. 67% say their jobs are important to their overall happiness. So job is still important to their overall happiness. It brings the balance to their life. It brings the income that they need to provide for their life. But it's the numbers are way down from where they were before. 51% say their jobs make them feel happy compared to other important things in their lives. Now, I mentioned the pet owners are 50% of the population. You can see how jobs eked out over pets. 88% rank families as one of their top 3 factors. And really, the definition of family today is much broader. When you get into the demos on that, a family is seen as the very close people that you're responsible for in your life. So it's not just as we have a picture here of a mom and a dad and a child anymore. That's just not the case. But family in general is the most important thing in lives. Also, 43% ranked friends as one of their top 3 factors, and then 41% ranked health as one of their top 3 factors. And if you think, just as the industry, you all have been focused for a long time on, you've at least heard about wellness being important, particularly to keep down insurance costs. But for your employees, they care more about health than they ever have. And it ranks high. It's one of the top 3 factors. Now, what was sort of shocking to us, we weren't surprised. We were surprised by this. We felt like, from some of the studies we've been doing, that the industry in general was wasting a lot of money, particularly on rewards and recognition. We felt like the industry was locked in tradition as it relates to reward and recognition, but we were really shocked at how far this has gone, and I think you'll see it here. So if you look at rewards and recognition, they rank the lowest of all things that people are happy with in their job. Some factors that we have on the screen, and I'll share a few that aren't on the screen. 90% of employees across the country feel they have a clear understanding of what's expected of them at work. When you talk to disgruntled employees, usually the #1 issue they have is they don't have a clear understanding of why they're even there. And that's about 10% of the population. But fortunately, across the country, that's a very high number. 90% feel they do have a clear understanding of their work. 80% have materials, equipment, and training they need to do the job. So they actually feel like they can show up and the equipment's there and they're happy with that in their work environment. 78% believe their colleagues are committed to quality work. So again, when you go back to disgruntled employees, a lot of times they'll say, well, my employees aren't performing at my level, or they're hard to get along with, or there's other issues. That's really just about 22% of the population feel that. 76% believe their bosses seem to care about them. If you watch Office Space and other television shows, that you would think that number is a lot lower. That's actually a nice number, but almost 25% of the population feel that their bosses don't really care about them. So, that still ranks high on the happiness factor. 76% get to do what they do best, so they feel like their best talents are being used. 75% have had opportunities to learn and grow this past year. 74% said the mission of their job makes them feel important, and 69% said they believe their opinion counts at work. Some other things that ranked a lot lower, 69% also said they have a best friend at work. 65% said their employer encourages their development, and there are a few others. All the way down at the bottom, way down at the bottom, all by itself, not even close to the 60s, where the lowest numbers came in, only 42% are happy with the rewards and recognition their company offers. Rewards and recognition are at the very bottom in terms of how employees perceive their employer's efforts to make them happy. So we're going to move forward here. Now, if you look at this gap, there is a huge recognition gap. In the red are programs that employers offer, and this is from our study. So we asked, does your employer offer these programs? And we covered all the major verticals, all the major employment verticals. So you'll see across the board in the red, these are the programs employers are offering, and in the yellow are the programs that employees want, but that would actually make them happy. And you can see where the giant gaps are. 38% of employees say their employer does not offer any rewards and recognition. So a giant chunk, almost 40%, have no rewards and recognition whatsoever. Of those that do, 36% of the entire population have some sort of bonus program, but 55% actually want a bonus program. So there's a gap there. If you look all the way over on the right at spot rewards, only 15% of the population receives spot rewards. 48% want them. That's the biggest gap. And that's driven in part by millennials. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But when you think about spot rewards, again, the reward at the end of the year, the big bonus, to do X as a team over 6 months or longer and achieve. That's not what folks are into today. We do all kinds of studies. We do consumer studies, employment studies, and what we found is people like cash, and they like it quickly, and they want to be recognized for short-term achievements. So we're not talking about spending more money or spending more on rewards. We're actually talking about a really efficient way, for instance, in the spot reward space, where you can be providing small rewards and making employees a lot happier. Employee recognition, just giving them that pat on the back, telling them they're doing a good job, making them stand out as a star. There's a gap there. Wellness rewards. Remember those top 3 factors? Family, friends, wellness. Still being underutilized. And then safety rewards, that's really for certain jobs, but safety rewards are very low, and that's another area for improvement as far as programs being offered. So when you look at the eligibility gap, how often are you eligible to participate in an employee program? For bonuses, typically bonuses are rewarded annually. For employee programs, employee recognition programs, it's really spread out over the calendar. They're typically just ongoing, sort of random. Wellness rewards, some are ongoing, most are rewarded once per year. Spot rewards are ongoing, typically the rewards, and then safety rewards are sort of split between once per year and that ongoing basis. And we think this is huge because the ongoing, the surprise, the hey, you did a great job, that kind of messaging should be much more prevalent. That's where we see the giant gap. We feel like from what the research is showing, employees will be much happier, and as a provider of rewards, you in the HR department, you'll spend a lot less money and you'll have happier employees. I do want to make one statement. As far as Blackhawk Engagement Solutions is concerned, the services we provide to our clients, we don't just do spot rewards. We do all kinds of rewards. We do catalogs and we do trips and all those other things. So we're not here to sell a specific product that works best for our scenario. This is what the research is telling us. If you look at recognition communication preferences, so how do you want to be notified that you've done a good job? How would you like to be recognized? A personal email from the manager is number 1. Personal email from a company executive is number 2. A team email from a manager or company leader is number 3. Now, once you get past the top 3, it really falls way off as far as how important it is. Company-wide announcement on intranet, number 4. Personal email, intranet, and social media post, number 5. And announcement on company social media, number 6. So a lot of companies, great companies, do all the above. But when we dug into it here, we found some gaps. So look at this. How does your employer formally announce outstanding achievements? Number 1 is a company-wide announcement. Number 2, manager announces to individual. Now, if you back up, company-wide announcement is number 4 for employees. They really want that manager to recognize them. 31%, none. So they get no announcement when they've done something good. They get no recognition. Peer-to-peer announcements are at 20%, and if you back up, that peer-to-peer announcement isn't even on there in preference, and then public announcement outside of the company. We ask, if you were to receive special recognition, which type of accomplishment would you prefer to have recognized? Personal, back up here. Personal recognition or team recognition? Obviously, Adam Smith, the guy who wrote the book on economics, said we are all self-driven, and in the reward space, personal rewards are much more important than team rewards. We work with a lot of clients who say, hey, we want to do team rewards, we want to get teams pitted against each other. That works in certain environments, but really at the end of the day, if you want to motivate your employees, drive change in behavior, make them happy in general, focusing on the individual awards is where the huge opportunity is. Who motivates? Managers at company aware of my recognition. That motivates employees. They want managers to know. And why is that? Because they want managers in the company to say, hey, this is a good prospect. This is someone down the road that I would promote myself. Executives at the company rank high. Peers and teammates are somewhat important. And then people outside the company aware of my recognition. Usually people that really care about recognition outside of the company are folks that are looking for jobs. Not always the case, but often. Recognition, communication preference. What makes you happy? 82%, exceeding personal performance levels. Again, focusing on the individual versus the macro team. So, a lot of companies say, if we hit this number in our sales and profitability and have these 4 things that we accomplish, everybody's going to win. So let's make it happen. Well, as good HR managers, you have to go back to your directors and say, you know what? That's going to motivate people, but what really is going to motivate them is to make it personal to them and make sure that you're driving this on a personal level to each individual. 79% receiving a promotion is important to them, actually below exceeding their personal performance levels. 77% exceeding team performance levels, 69% achieving milestones for years of service, 60% participating in community service, and 58% achieving milestones in a company program. So we said, which type of peer-to-peer recognition do you think would make your coworker happiest? And all of these ranked really low because at the end of the day, people don't really care that much about their peers. They care about themselves. And to say they don't care about their peers is not a fair statement. But the reason that people go to work is not for their peers. They go to work for themselves. 36% responded that a prepaid card would be the best reward that their peers would want. 22% said a personal email from themselves. 14% personal email from their manager. 14% a gift card from a popular retailer. 11% an announcement on the company intranet or social media. And 3% company branded item. 52% are happier to receive a reward for doing a great job than giving one. So when you think about peer-to-peer rewards, that works in certain environments. But from a macro perspective, because people are self-centered in their job and they're thinking about themselves, from a peer-to-peer reward, the person that gives the reward is not as happy as the person that received the reward. And the person that received the reward would rather get that reward from their manager than their peer. So we got into price elasticity. We do a lot of price elasticity programs where we evaluate employee, consumer, sales preferences on different types of rewards. And so we've got a few slides here on reward preference. We can drill down much more offline or when I answer questions on this. But we put out some questions there. Because we saw that prepaid cards popped up a lot, we said, hey, you've earned an employee reward worth $25. That would be typical spot reward, or maybe a wellness reward. We weren't specific, but you received an employee reward worth $25. Which type of reward would you prefer? 89% wanted a prepaid card that they could spend anywhere. 8% chose a reward that can be redeemed online for select participants. And that could be a catalog. We were very specific. Could be a catalog, could be specific gift cards, anything like that. And then 3% said, I'll take credit for a catalog to choose my reward. So if you remember the old days, there are still multi-billion-dollar companies that provide catalogs for the industry. And, I mentioned that we do that online for our customers, but this industry was really built on, you need this giant catalog, here's all the prizes, and your employees are going to love it. Right here, this is telling you that just from a low-level prize or reward or recognition, that's irrelevant. On the next slide, we upped the reward. We said, you've earned an employee reward worth $100. Which type would you prefer? Again, more people chose the prepaid card. And here's the previous numbers. So as the reward went up, there's more preference towards that prepaid card, and the other rewards go down. Then we said, what would you do with a substantial reward from your company? We weren't specific on this because a substantial reward for some folks would be $100 or $200 or maybe $500. For other folks, it could be $50,000. So we left it very open-ended. But we said, what would you do? You got a substantial reward. You can do anything with it. What do you intend to do with your reward? Now, think about the top 12 lists of what makes people happy. Family, friends, health. 81% of people said if they received a substantial reward from their work, they would spend it on something practical, on everyday things. That's how they would use that reward. And of that 81%, 54% said they were just going to save it for a rainy day. So if you read all the economic indicators, it's not a giant leap. It looks like unemployment is down, but it's really not because there are people out of the job market or they're taking jobs for less money. So over half have said they're going to save those dollars for a rainy day. 27% said they would just spend it on regular household items. Only 12% said that they would take a substantial reward, any portion of it, and spend it on a unique experience, maybe a vacation, a fancy meal, anything like that. And 7% would splurge on gifts. So I have a personal story on this. Again, have shared a little bit of these insights just as they came through with a few clients. And I was in a meeting with actually the head of a company who turned to a person in the room and said, we just got you a customized iPad with your name engraved in it. And wouldn't you have rather had that than a prepaid card? And the person was kind of quiet and they said, well, wouldn't you? And the person responded, no, actually I wouldn't. But it just goes to show you where the employee mindset is gone. It's not about it's about themselves. Everything is personal and about their life, about their family, and taking care of their family. And those are the kind of rewards, big or small, that are going to drive preference. So then we said, okay, you're being honored for many years of service on the job. Which form of recognition would make you happiest? We offered a 4-day all-inclusive vacation. Again, we didn't put a price tag on it because a 4-day all-inclusive vacation is a different price to different people. But minimally, if you figure you take a friend or a spouse, it would be at least $1,500 to $2,000. Probably a lot more if you use your imagination, as a lot of people do. We also offered $1,000 in merchandise credit for a catalog. So we have those clients, we have those catalogs. Choose anything you want. Here's $1,000 in your corporate money to buy these things online. And then, just formal recognition among peers in the company, or a $500 gift card for an online gift. 45% chose a $500 prepaid card. Now, if you think about it, if you just do the math, that 4-day all-inclusive vacation, that's pretty crazy. What's crazy about it is that consumers are, again, focused on their life. And if you think about all the dollars that are being overpaid to employees for larger scale rewards and all the money that can be saved, that's pretty crazy. You could offer a $500 prepaid card versus a $2,000 vacation, or even $1,000 in merchandise from an online catalog. Think about how much money you can save and other things that you can do in the market just by being efficient with your rewards and understanding what your employees want. Again, these are macro trends. We do slices by industry, vertical, age, income, and these numbers are pretty consistent in all those areas that we've looked at and are looking at for our clients now. We'll switch to the next slide. So the power of rewards. Happiness doesn't have to have an expensive price tag. 80% of employees would be happy to participate in quarterly safety awareness training with a $25 reward for completing each component. 74% would be happy to adhere to all safety and accident prevention procedures for a year-end $100 reward. 72% would be happy to complete after-hours training for a $25 reward. 64% would be happy to recruit a candidate for an open position with a company for a $100 reward. 61% would be happy enough to stay another year on the job for 3 $50 spot rewards. 60% would be happy to use 3 or fewer sick days out of a possible 6 for a $50 reward. That alone, if you think about that, just the money that you save right there, you all could take a vacation. Not that you would want one, you would want a prepaid card, but you could take one on that. And then 60% would be happy to participate in a wellness program for a $25 reward. We actually have drill downs on all of these. So when we talk about wellness, we ask, would you want to participate in a wellness program? And if you had to, if you're mandated, just by mandating it, the majority of people don't want to participate. But a little simple $25 reward, which qualifies that employee for a significant reduction in insurance costs, is a huge value. Percentages who would be happy to participate in a wellness program. So here we go. When participating in a wellness program, when it's required, just barely 2 of 10 employees are happy to join a program. When rewards are offered, the happiness quotient almost quadruples. So 76% said that incentive and rewards offered for achieving their individual goals would make them happy to participate. And I shared some of that price elasticity. $25 makes them happy. 67% said, hey, give us a free on-site facilities and training staff. If those are available, that makes us happy. Which is going to be cheaper, giving them $25 or staffing a gym? That's you know, in some cases the gym would be cheaper, and others the $25 reward would be cheaper. So anyway, you can see some of the elasticity there as far as a specific category like wellness. So that's a really high-level overview of the study. As I mentioned, we're able to slice the information and provide much further drill down into all of the questions. We can do it by age, income, ethnicity, job vertical, title, professional, hourly. So if you have questions about that, you can reach out to us on that. There are some questions on the screen here, so I'm going to open it up to questions. And apologize, we'll just kind of pop these open and answer a few of the questions. So one of the first questions, do you have slides available to download? We actually have this report. You can download it from our website. So if you go to bhengagement.com, you can click on there, and we have a button for our research that you can go to, and you can download the study. So it is available. If you want a custom view, you can reach out to us. My email is rodney.mason@bhengagement.com, and we can talk to you about a custom study. There's a lot of questions here, so we're just going through this. Was money a category in this poll? Yes. So we talked to employees about money, and the reason that we put prepaid cards on there is when we do consumer studies and when we do employee studies, we look at cash and we'll offer cash. And what we found is about 97% of people find prepaid cards the same as cash. And what people like about prepaid cards is, excuse me, I bumped into you there. What they like about prepaid cards is, number one, for the employee space and for incentives, there is an affinity, so they carry the card and they remember the company. So we took cash out because we found both on our consumer business, when we give out just instant cash discounts or instant cash, or in the employee business, it's really vapor. in this case for employees. When I say vapor, they get the reward. They don't even, there's no acknowledgement of it. When they carry around the prepaid card and it's in their wallet, they're able to use it. Every time they use it, they think of the employer, which is what the reward is supposed to do. So yeah, we did ask about money, and the responses are when you do cash and prepaid, there really is, there's no preference there. Okay, so then there was a question. It says, vacation may rank out at 11, but it is vacation that allows staff to enjoy family, friends, health, hobbies, homes, dwelling, and neighborhoods. So while there are options, do you believe that meeting vacation needs is still a very important part of the employee engagement, morale, and wellness? From what we've seen here and all the feedback that we got and the price elasticities that we've run, no. You know, what we would recommend, and we know particularly because we have large clients that run sales programs, and trips are very popular for sales teams. We would strongly recommend, if you really want to motivate, that you will provide some personalization or choices for vacations. But from everything that we're seeing, you're going to save a substantial amount of money by not investing in those trips, because they don't incrementally deliver on the happiness. They don't make the employee as happy or motivate them. In fact, they motivate them less because the employee feels like they don't have control. Any other? We've got so many questions here. I'm going to open that one. Let's see. 70% of employees said they were happy with the 8 factors you measured, yet Gallup measures those same items and finds 70% of employees are not engaged or actively disengaged. Could you explain that apparent contradiction? Yeah, so in the Gallup polls, they believe that 70% are unengaged. What they're really measuring there is, on a day-to-day basis, how many times do you check out? Well, we do studies in other categories, in shopping and other areas, and one of the primary times when employees shop is while they're at work. In fact, about 41% of all online shopping is done at work, as are other activities at work. So when Gallup's measuring that and they see things like that in their poll, and you could talk to them, they could say something different, but I've read through their studies. When they see that, they feel like those employees are disengaged. Any activities outside of the work, they're not engaged at work. So there are things like that go on, but as far as we're concerned, that's everyday life. People are trying to manage. They work 24/7 now. They're always on their computer, and they feel that they have permission to do those things, and we don't see that as being unengaged. The employees that are unengaged are the ones who are not happy or dissatisfied with their work, and from the numbers we saw, they actually weren't that bad. You know, some people would say 24, 25% of the population is pretty disengaged. That's not great, but we think it's pretty good considering the other numbers that have been out there. We'll go to some more questions here. Let's see. Sorry, there's so many. Okay. How does receiving prepaid cards change when employees find out that they have to be taxed for the amount they receive? So, as you know, we haven't really seen any issues with that. They're taxed on trips. They're taxed on any reward. So there hasn't been any factor in that. There wasn't a specific question in here about the taxes, but just in general, no matter what the reward is, they're supposed to be taxed on it. Okay, do you see any difference in the responses among different level of employees of which reward they prefer? Absolutely, yes. So what's interesting is the higher the income, the more that employee, the more preference towards the prepaid card or the cash or choosing their own reward. The lower the income, the more likely someone would want, you know, other things. The differences were small, but they were there. Also, when you look at white collar and or professional, college educated versus, you know, skill workers, there are some differences. When you skew heavily male, things like hobbies become number 2. So finding out an employee's hobby and the things that they like is a way to personalize that reward. So when we look at telco, because we work with lots of giant telco companies, or we look with technology, particularly in that space, just getting to understand that male audience, it skews heavily male, and they also have a lot of disposable income, and they don't tend to, while they have, all of them have families of some sort, there's a lot of individual males in that category that are millennials. And so in that space, and there's a few others, you'll find some spikes in hobbies and other things that it really pays to do the research and understand them. And we do those custom studies for our clients, understanding those personal preferences, then you can customize that reward. And it might simply be, here's a prepaid card, or here's a gift card for the thing that you like, or whatever it is, just the message of, I hope you enjoy this for your music or for your gaming or the other things that you're doing. And that is very rewarding to them. Do you have results reported by generation? We do. We are going to have our millennial study will come out in, I think, 6 weeks. And we're able to slice this information individually by generation. So we do have that. The millennial study, like I said, will be 6 weeks. If there's other questions that you have, you can reach out to us, and we can give you a custom view. We'll go from there. Other questions? Does it make sense to have the ability to sell or buy part-time off time? How many companies do this? We think it makes, our price elasticity showed that you don't even have to buy paid time off. If you offer a certain amount of days, you can provide a reward, and the reward can be significantly less than what your one-day average is to get them to buy out of a few days. So we think that that is a huge opportunity to save a significant amount of money. And so yeah, we think that's a giant opportunity. Are there any plans to add CVS or Walgreens and department stores to the merchant list? Often employer groups or sales are asking about more comprehensive list of retailers. That's really dependent upon who you work with and the kind of rewards that you're working out. So we do online catalogs, and we have all those folks. It just depends on the employer and their policies and their insurance and how much they want to offer. But when we offer a reward catalog, let's say it has the trips in it, and it has TVs, and it has the gift cards, and then it has the prepaid card, the vast majority of people migrate to that prepaid card if it's not buried. The reward cards that do extraordinarily well outside of prepaid are grocery, so grocery retailers, because people see that as an everyday expense. And the pharmaceuticals do pretty well, so the Walgreens and CVS do okay. And I'm just talking about when the employees have a choice, and maybe they don't have the choice of that prepaid card, and they're going to choose from a gift card mall. So those do well. There are options out there, so whoever your provider is that's providing that, those options are there. I know we work with all those folks, so not certain to your situation, but I hope that comes close to answering your question. If you are considering some manner of formal associate recognition as part of a continuous improvement program, how should these recognitions be administered, especially since the award would be based on savings? Yeah, so it really depends on your size and scale. For large enterprise companies, there are platforms out there that are great at immediately engaging and tracking, and pretty much almost instantaneously you can turn it on. I mentioned the acquisition that we announced today, which will close in 30 days, of us acquiring Achievers. They have an extraordinary platform. VES already has a platform that's outstanding that does that as well for larger scale clients. On a smaller scale, just providing, when I say smaller scale, if you don't have the ability to launch an enterprise type tool, just clearly communicating with your employees and setting aside a small pool of money to recognize them and surprise them, or sitting down with them and saying, hey, here's some key objectives over the next month, over the next 8 weeks that we'd like you to achieve. If you do this, you get X. Those are very successful, and that's what the large platforms do. The reason the platforms come into play is because when you have thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of employees, it's a lot easier to automate than to do that individually. Did you ask about extra paid vacation and time off, if people wanted that? We did not ask about extra paid vacation or time off. We did run the price elasticity for not taking that time off. So that's a great question. And the reason we didn't do that, I'm trying to remember why. I don't even know why, but we'll make a note of that for future studies. Okay. How would the results translate to Canada? So we've done studies in Canada, and on this questionnaire, we have responses that are not reflected in here. So we did poll Canada. It was a small group. It was about 300 or 400 folks in the total study. Here we're just representing the United States. What we saw in Canada matched up. We wouldn't extrapolate it and say that it was statistically valid to represent the population, but we did have a sizable group, and the answers pretty much matched up with the U.S., so we didn't see a lot of differences. There are a few differences on healthcare and wellness, but not substantial. So that's kind of a roundabout way of saying that we don't have statistically valid, but we did have some insight into that, and we could discuss more of that online. So I would like to thank you for attending. Again, I've mentioned a few times we have custom slices, data slices by industry for your company that are available. If you're interested, you can reach out to us. Also would like to invite you to follow us on social media. We do studies and reports all the time. We propagate those, so these are some of our handles on social media. And my personal handle, I'm one of the most followed marketers in the world and researchers in the world, and I've got several social platforms, but you can reach me on Twitter at RodMoose, R-O-D-M-O-O-S-E, and you can reach out to me there or LinkedIn or any of those places, and I'd be happy to connect as well. Really appreciate your time. I think we've answered most of the questions. If you have other questions, you can send them into hr.com, or again, my email address, rodney.mason@bhengagement.com. And thank you so much for being here.
Great. Thank you so much, Rodney, for presenting this very informative webcast today. To the audience, the archive webcast and slides will be available on the hr.com site within 24 hours, located under the archive webcast listing. Please remember you will receive an email from hr.com with the certification credit information within 1 to 2 business days. hr.com and Blackhawk Engagement Solutions appreciate your feedback, so please take a moment at the very end of the webcast to complete the evaluation survey, which will appear on your screen. This concludes our webcast, and thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.